Hello everyone, I'm Dead Knight and this is In It to Win It. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to like this video and leave some comments and subscribe to the channel. We are talking about Hearthstone in Wild, Season 92, and we got to Legend again. We took it a little slow this time because I've been grinding Mercenaries pretty hard, so thanks for your patience for these videos to come out. We'll do some Mercenaries series later, but here we are talking about Wild. And Wild has been pretty frustrating for a while, but I think Blizzard is doing a lot to try to make it more fun, to spice it up. You know, the banning of the Demon Seed was huge to kind of spread out the decks. But since the Dead Mines mini set came out, there's been, I'd say, a little less variety than probably they wanted. You're going to see a lot of the same decks out there over and over and over again, mainly Pirate Warrior. Even Warlock has been out there to try to counter Pirate Warrior. Questline Hunter is still another dominant deck, though not as much now because it got no help in the mini set. But a lot of times you're rotating between playing against those three decks or playing those three decks. Every now and then you get an off-meta one. But I decided to break the cycle, and I went with an off-meta deck and rocketed up to Legend once I started running it. And it is with what I'm calling Zero Zoo Warlock. So I've seen a couple versions of this kind of on the fringes of some times I've been playing Wild, but I decided to give it a go and just love it. It is so fun to play, and it's probably the only aggro deck that I can think of that can actually outpace Pirate Warrior right now, even as powerful and fast as Pirate Warrior is. So what is it? As the name implies, if you look at the list here, we're looking at 12 cards that cost 0 mana. So the speed that you are playing cards is it's just dizzying. There's just so many cards are coming out, and you can draw cards so easily. So obviously, Hand of Gul'dan, free draw 3 cards when you discard it is just excellent. So that's your main source of card draw. There's a couple different ways to discard this, so it's really consistent that you get to play it. You have Soularium, 1 mana, draw 3, and almost always you're going to be able to play all 3. Even if you play it on turn 2 or turn 3, you can usually fire off the whole set of cards you draw, because just look at the curve on this. I mean, there's only 3 cards that cost more than 2 mana, and 2 of them are free Hand of Gul'dans. So, you know, you're just constantly drawing cards, playing cards for free. You can fill up your board on turn 1 or 2 with actual threats. I mean, it boggles the mind, the speed that you draw and play cards of this deck. It's so fun to play. And so what are we doing here? So the engines are those 2 card drawing cards that I just mentioned, along with Expired Merchant. This is a key card, one of the only cards that doesn't cost 0 or 1 mana in the deck. You probably want a mulligan for this dude. Obviously, the best thing you can do is discard Hand of Gul'dan, but also it discards Boneweb Egg, which is the 0/2 for 2, the other 2 mana card in this deck. When you discard it, you get 2 2/1 minions hitting the board. Again, this is going to be for free if you discard it. But also, don't be afraid to just fire this guy out and use it to help protect your board from AoE. So it won't protect you from Defile, because it will die, and then the 2/1s will die as well. But it will protect you from some of the other board clear. It's great against Pirate because the random cannon shots can blow up the egg, and you know, it discourages people from trying to kill this, and then you're going to see later that that they're going to have to kill it because they can't leave anything alive. So anyway, Expired Merchant is a key player in this deck. And then what are we doing with the rest of this? We have all these 0 mana minions. The only one that didn't make the cut was Wisp. Honestly, it doesn't really matter which one you choose. You might even want to play Wisp and drop the minion type ones, because minion types don't really matter. But you definitely want to keep Target Dummy as the 0/2 taunt. This is the only taunt in your deck, and we can get into some strategic ways to use this later. But because you're going to be buffing these dudes, you definitely want Target Dummy, and then just play your 1/1s for 0. and then you buff them with very cheap and efficient buffs that are great in this deck. So the first one is Grim Rally. This has been around for a while. Destroys one of your minions for 1 mana, gives the rest of your minions +1/+1. So you can play 3 or 4 guys for 0, Grim Rally, destroy one, and now you got a bunch of 2/2s for 0, and that's actually a threat. So that's the first one. The next one is from Darkmoon, which was it definitely piqued a lot of people's interest when it came out, and is getting some play in Standard. Not a whole lot in Wild, but is Wicked Whispers. So this is also 1 mana, give all your minions +1/+1, and you discard a card. Again, discarding a card is not too big of a problem for you because you've got the Hand of Gul'dan and the Egg, but this one always makes you discard your lowest cost card. So you gotta just pay attention when you play this guy. But because your curve is so low, often you can make your lowest cost card the only card left in your hand, a Hand of Gul'dan. So Wicked Whispers is usually all upside and gives all your guys +1/+1. So on turn 2, you can basically play a bunch of 0 guys, Grim Rally 1, Wicked Whispers. Now you have a bunch, like 3 or 4 3/3s on the board super early in the game. And it only goes up from there because there's another 0 cost card that when you have 5 or more minions on the board, it turns one of them into a 5/5, Ritual of Doom. So you can play a bunch of these 1/1s, you can turn one of them into a 5/5 for free, and then you can buff them all. So, turn 2 or 3, you're looking at a couple of the minions from the Egg, 2 1/1s, and then a 5/5, and then they're all buffed. So now you got a 6/6, a bunch of 3/2s, a bunch of 2/2s, and this is all happening on turn 2 or 3. A lot of times people just wrap it up right there and scoop. But wait, there's more, because now you also have Raise Dead for 0 mana to get some of these minions back. So after you sacrifice one with Grim Rally, you just raise it back and then you play them back again for free. So it's just a constant stream of playing all these free cards and then buffing them, and it's just so much fun. And that doesn't even get to the best part, because the best part is the only other card that costs more than 2 mana, which is Disciplinarian Gambling. So this is usually a game ender. So if you have this in your hand, you just don't play your minions and you wait till this guy comes out. So as a 3/6 for 4 mana, he's got really defensive stats. It's hard to kill. And whenever you play a minion, you immediately destroy it and turn it into a 4/4. So when all of your minions are 1/1s that cost 0, you play this guy, drop a bunch of 0 cost 4/4s onto the board, and it's very, very difficult to get rid of those. So, and also, did I mention Raise Dead? Because after you play 2 0 cost minions that immediately become 4/4s, you Raise Dead, get both the 0s back to your hand, play them again for more 4/4s. So it's just endless. It's so fun. The only thing to consider here is, I mentioned Target Dummy before as the 0/2 taunt for 0. Sometimes it's right to drop this guy and then play Gambling, so you keep the 0/2 taunt alive, just to protect a little extra layer of protection for Gambling. So consider doing that. I did it a couple times against Pirate, who had a minion on the board and their weapon out. So that's something you can do just to add a little bit of protection. If you're going off the way you're supposed to be, you won't need that extra 4/4. The 0/2 taunt can actually be better. So keep that in mind. And then rounding out the crew is Soulfire for that extra damage and discarding a card. So it's just another way to trigger Hand of Gul'dan and the Egg. And then animated Broomstick, obviously, you want to have this dude in the deck just because you can give those free minions rush, give those spiders rush, and give your failed students from Gambling rush. If your opponent's winning and they have the board and you play Gambling, a couple 0 cost cards, and then play the Broom, sweep their board with your 4/4s, and that's the curtains right there. The last card I want to mention here is, so I put in a sneaky Zephyrus in this deck. When you get going, if you get that Expired Merchant in the Hand of Gul'dan, get the Soularium, you start drawing cards the way this deck can, you can empty your deck by turn 5 or 6. So, a lot of times you might end up discarding Zephyrus to one of your discard spells. That's okay. You usually don't need them, but it's just nice to have a little ace up your sleeve just in case they do manage to clear the board somehow. Some warlocks are running Soul Rend, Defile. Every now and then, you get some one who's teching in some crazy stuff, and you play against Shaman who gets the ice fishing combo off, and poisons your whole board. So it's just some crazy thing. Sometimes you don't just rush their face and win. It's nice to have that ace up your sleeve, Zephyrus, for after you've drawn your whole deck and you're out of threats. You can finish off their last bit of health, with either a Gore Howl or a Fireball or a Bloodlust or even a Soulfire. So having that option is nice. Again, you usually don't miss it. If you have to discard it, don't even think twice. Just pitch it. But it's nice to have that option. So, this deck, again, it's just so fun. It's off meta. People really do not see this coming. The reason is because even Warlock is one of the top archetypes in the meta right now. So if someone queues up against a Warlock, they're immediately going to think, okay, here comes Gen Greymane. There are going to be some early life taps. I don't need really any of my defensive spells. I can just go all offense and try to get under them. And because they're not going to play anything until turn 3 or turn 4, so I'm gonna prepare for that. And then wait till you see what happens on turn 3. If they try to rush the board, they will get absolutely overrun. So it's so much fun. It only gets better the better that even Warlock and Control Warlock gets. So so exciting to play this off meta deck. I hope it's as fun for you as it was for me and continues to be. One last word of advice: don't just play a 1/1 for 0 all willy-nilly. Wait for a swing turn. Wait till you can buff them. Wait till you can play the Ritual of Doom. Just time your plays right. You want to make sure that every time you play a 1/1 for 0, that it's doing something for you instead of just going out there and getting killed by hero power. So that was the last bit of advice, but it's so fun. Can't wait for you to try it and let me know what you think. Leave some respectful comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next time.